So, assalamu alaikum, brother David, right here. He always shares a lot of interesting things with me about his hiking trips. He had a hiking trip back in the 90s,
Yes.
right? For how long was the trip? For like 1,000 miles?
Well, I walked the Appalachian Trail over 4 summers.
4 summers,
Yes.
4 consecutive summers, 4 years.
1994, 95, 97, and 98.
Okay, so every time 2 years.
And basically, I just did different sections of the Appalachian Trail over 4 summers.
Okay, so you will take two years. The 2 years were consecutive. Or how does it work?
Well, I was off during the summer from college, and I just went out and walked the different sections of the Appalachian Trail. In 1994, I walked from Franconia Notch in New Hampshire to Mount Katahdin in central Maine. Mount Katahdin is, for those of you who don't know, is the northern terminus of the Appalachian Trail. And then 1995, I walked from Harper's Ferry, West Virginia, up to Cornwall Bridge, Connecticut.
So how long was the first trip from Maine?
I walked in the first summer. I walked about 360 miles, and I walked
360 miles.
yes,
How long does it take you to cover?
July 17th to August 21st.
Okay, so around a month.
Yeah, a little bit more than that.
Okay.
And then in 1995, when I walked from
Virginia?
I walked from Harper's Ferry to Cornwall Bridge. I started on 4th of July and I finished on August 21st.
So how long? How long was the trip?
A little over a month and a half.
I mean the distance.
That was 460 miles.
Okay.
And then 1996, I went to summer school, so no hiking that summer. Then in 1997, I walked from Cornwall Bridge, Connecticut to Franconia Notch. Then my dad picked me up in Gorham, New Hampshire, and we went up to western Maine to complete a 9-mile day hike that I had missed in 1994. Then I went.
So your dad is the one who get you into that, to hiking and outdoors and stuff.
No, well, my dad introduced me to camping very early on, but I actually got him into backpacking when I was 12. I wanted to go out backpacking, and after a month of nagging him, respectfully, of course, it was just where I went ahead and got a set of trail maps and using pocket money that I had, and I actually introduced him to that world. And our first trip, it was a learning experience, and he ended up actually liking it. At that time, he actually liked it more than I did.
But what about the Appalachian thing that you did? Was it longer? I think you started in Georgia.
Well, no, I started in New Hampshire.
New Hampshire? Okay.
Yeah, since I lived in Maine, it was easy for my parents to drive me over to Franconia Notch.
So the total of those, was it 2 trips or 3 trips?
I did the Appalachian Trail over 4 summers.
4 summers. Like total of how long did you walk?
600 miles.
600 miles?
Yeah, well,
Walking?
Well, in 1997, I walked 600 miles.
Okay.
The whole trail was 2,160.5 miles when I did it.
But the total of everything you walked in the 4 trips, or the few trips?
2,160 miles.
200. Two what? 2,000?
2,160.5 miles.
0.5. You know them. Step by step, you took them.
You do not forget that kind of stuff.
So what is interesting in walking? I mean, I am an outdoor man. I do swimming, I do diving, I do a lot of sports. But if you can just take me into that world, what is so interesting about walking? I can walk. I like walking and running, but I'm an athlete. I'm a track and field. Hey, but to walk for 2,000 miles?
Yeah.
Over 2,000 miles. What is interesting in that? What does this experience give you?
You get to see the world at its best. You get to see Mother Nature at her finest. Figuratively speaking. I literally saw the hand of God at work a couple times. and you get
To rescue you, you were in the middle of something, or okay.
Just walk. Okay. 1994. I walked 22. Hey, how you doing?
Good.
I walked.
Assalamualaikum Abdul.
I walked 22 miles, 22 and a half miles that day. I walked from Sabbath Day Pond Lean-To up to Poplar Ridge Lean-To, and I walked. At least I think it was Sabbath Day Pond. I know where I ended though, which was Poplar Ridge. I went over Saddleback Mountain in the late afternoon, and after I got over Saddleback, I then went down and then went up on top of a smaller mountain called the Horn, and it was where Saddleback Mountain was completely enshrouded in clouds, and then I just saw all the clouds part away. It was sort of like Moses parting the Red Sea.
Okay.
And I just remember standing there, and I'm soaked to the bone. I'm tired, and I just stood there, and I'm like, that is the hand of God at work.
Okay.
And it's the kind of thing where you don't, you see something like that, and you think to yourself, there is no way that there is not a God.
Yeah, but it's quite an experience to do the hiking and
Yeah.
be away. And you were talking to me a minute ago about the having to go for 4 or 5 days, sometimes 10 days, with no cities, or you pack up everything that you need and you literally just go and be on your own.
Basically, I just lugged everything on my back.
Okay.
You do things like I had capacity in my pack to carry 5 quarts of water if there was a long stretch between reliable water sources.
Okay.
So, you have that. And of course,
You'd usually sleep wherever the night falls or wherever anywhere.
I'd usually most of the time I stayed in the open face shelters along the trail. And
Did you come across any experience with animals, maybe birds, snakes, anything like that?
I've come across bears a couple times. The first time was in the 100-mile wilderness in Maine, and it was where I
What
saw
kind of bears in Maine?
black bears.
Black bears?
Yeah. And with black bears, generally their first instinct is to run when they hear humans. And it was where my pack was making enough noise that that bear heard me. And the glimpse that I got of that bear was that bear running away.
Okay.
But generally, if they can, they will run away. That's their first instinct.
I see. Okay. But overall, the experience of walking or hiking for all of these long distances is a positive thing for you.
Very much so.
Gives you a chance to maybe reflect, meditate, as you said, see the Mother Nature as it's at its purest.
You have time to think about things as well.
Okay.
And it's where that was very common in the thru hiker community out there.
Okay.
And every year there are a lot of people who they'll go out and just do the whole thing, just do the whole trail in one shot.
What is the plan for the future plans? I think you once told me about hiking somewhere in the west, I believe.
Someday I'd like to go do the Continental Divide Trail.
Where is that?
That runs from the boot of New Mexico up to at the Crazy Coke Monument, which is 70 miles south of a town called Lordsburg in New Mexico, and it runs up to Glacier National Park.
Wow. So that's more running through mountains and deserts and stuff?
Yeah, you start off in the desert,
Okay.
and then you hike over the Rockies.
Okay, nice. Well, thank you very much, David, my friend. He usually joins us here in the mosque. He's Christian, right?
Yes.
And I'm Muslim, and we can be friends, no problem, and share experience about our lives and our adventures and what have you. So thank you very much, Brother David, for being a very good friend and visiting our mosque, and I enjoyed the time.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.